Today is March 10th, 2021. This is the Kubernetes CSI implementation meeting. We will go down our usual agenda of release statuses, starting with 119. I think we're mainly just trying to fix the CSI Proxy image promotion process. Guess, Jing, have you been able to make any progress on this?
So yeah, you mean the CSI proxy, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I finally, sorry about the delay, I finally look into it, and I sync up with the SIG release, Stephen. He is doing like some progress related to the promote the artifact from staging to release, but I mean, it's just in the process of it. And I think I checked like other like Kube proxy for Windows. What I see is still like a manual process, and I'm trying to figure out who has the permission to manually do this for now. And
I see.
yeah.
Yeah, my guess is that it would be someone in release or test infra that would have permissions to do it. I think the main problem is because the prod project, it's like a single project owned by all of Kubernetes, whereas the staging projects are owned by individual projects. So I think the admins are different for the prod project.
Okay. Yeah, right now it's automatically kind of can push to the staging. But yeah, there's no next step for staging to release.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds good. It looks like
Mm.
you're following up with Stephen on that. I guess
Right.
if you can link in the issue to like any open bugs or issues that are tracking this, I think that'd be helpful for us.
Sure.
Cool. Thank
Sure.
you. All right. All right. Next up, we have 121. Code freeze was yesterday. I believe we got everything that we wanted in by code freeze. So thank you everyone for
Not volume
working.
populators.
Oh, sorry. Thanks everyone anyway for, working really hard to, get these in by the deadline. Really
Looks like there were a
appreciate all
couple
the
of
work.
that didn't make it, right? I think in addition to volume populator, also there's Hemant actually I think he dropped earlier. Looks like there were a couple of others. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, the FS group stuff, since we didn't get it in the CSI spec, I think yeah, we had to defer that. The other two that I know of is the projected service account token, or no, sorry, the CSI service account token. But Shihang is filing an exception for that.
Okay.
And then because I think the review was actually really close, so there's not like huge issues there. The other one is the stateful set delete PVC deletion thing. I think Matt is going to file an exception for that too, but I think the reviews for that feature were not as further along, so I'm not sure that one will be able to grant the exception there.
Okay. And there's also this scheduling one that
not
Patrick's, the other one, what is that?
Yeah, the priority.
Oh, right, that one.
That one got in.
Oh, got in? Oh, okay. I see they moved.
It should have got. Oh, then that's a mistake.
Okay.
There was like one. Yeah, okay, let me double check on that. But there was one like optional PR that was a nice to have, and that one didn't make it in.
Okay.
But like it wasn't a requirement, so maybe that's where the confusion was.
I found actually probably it's better like on that issue. only list those required ones there. Otherwise, I think that's the same thing last time with Snapshots also. Like they say, oh, you still have a feed that's not there, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's confusing for them. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, let's yeah, I'll go ahead and clarify that. Thanks for bringing that up. All right. Let's see. Let's go down the list of PRs that we have open. Looks like we have, okay, something happened to the UI and doesn't display the title anymore. We have this volume unstage and deletion race. It looks like we still have discussions going on about what the proper fix should be. So I think we'll have to defer this to a bug fix or something, or the next release. What is this? I can't tell anymore. This one is the E2E performance E2E test. Okay, yeah, I think this one we just want to see because the test wasn't actually running in the pull jobs, so we want to get it to run and see how long it's actually taking and things like that. So I can follow up on that. Next up, we have CSI Migration.
Yeah, I think for CSI Migration, there are mainly two bugs, two parts. The first is Azure related topology label has not been updated. There is one PR open for this, and I have some comments, and there's no further progress. I need to pin Layla to take another look. Another one is about the issue that Yang mentioned on the Slack channel, which is volume provisions for Migrate CSI have wrong provision by annotation. I think we have some discussion going on in that issue. So basically, the problem right now is we find that there is a external attacher finalizer that are stayed on the PV after we after we switch back to the non-CSI migration case, and because we were not able to I don't know if we can say for sure that the CSI attacher will still be in the cluster after we roll back the cluster. So basically the attacher finalizer cannot be removed and the PV will not be able to delete. And we have some discussion on that issue, and I think I'm gonna try to hopefully make this fixed in 1.21.
Cool. All right, sounds good. I think the other thing that we're waiting on, I guess it's technically not for 1.21, but I think we want to do a patch release in external provisioner for the previous release that has a bunch of the topology fixes for CSI migration. So I think we need to update the CSI translation library in the patch release.
Yeah, okay, I can do that.
Cool, thank you. Next up, we have snapshots.
So we talked about the E2 test for metrics, grants PR. So it looks like now we are just going to add that in the CSI mock volume, that E2 test. So I think Grant is working on that. I don't know if he has updated it yet, but I think yesterday he said he's going to work on that. I haven't heard more. And then he's also working on the patch thing. So I think he said he will submit a PR soon.
Cool. All right, thank you. Next up we have ephemeral volumes. Is Patrick here? Nope. I think most of the, I think all of the PRs got in. I think now it's just documentation, updates. I think that's all that's pending. So I think we're looking good. Actually, do you remember when the I forgot to look up when the docs deadline was? Do you remember when that is?
I don't remember how to look up.
I got a note from a docs person saying end of March.
Okay.
I want to say
Is that
March
did they
31st.
say
Okay.
when is the, there was, I think there was also a deadline for submit a placeholder. I thought it was like
Yeah,
two
yeah.
deadlines. One is a placeholder.
Yeah.
I think placeholder has already passed.
But I didn't get pinned for that.
Let's take a look. Okay. This. All right, so we got some time, which is good.
So I didn't closely follow that feature. So will that work for Windows or is just for Linux?
Generic ephemeral volumes.
Right.
It should work for Windows too. But we should I mean, we should have a test. We currently don't have a test for it, I think. So we should you know, make sure we enable the test on Windows systems.
Right.
But basically the way the feature works is that you put the PVC template in a pod object, and then there's a controller that actually goes and creates the PVC object. So I think that's I don't expect Windows to really matter there, because it's just a way to automatically manage the life cycle of a PVC.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, let me add that as a to-do.
Mhm.
Enable. Oops. Cool. All right. Next, we have storage capacity. I think all the PRs also got in there. I think there's a number of PRs open in external provisioner. So I think we'll need to next start reviewing all of the provisioner PRs. All right. And then volume populators.
Yeah, so I did create, are you showing the screen? I did create a project and link it from here. Is the link in here? Oh, you found it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I started using this to sort of collect together all of the in progress things, and I put some of the done things, some of the to-do things in here. So helps me be organized. This was a good idea. I wish I had thought of it a long time ago. But yeah, the situation is we did not get the reviews, and the feeling during yesterday's populators meeting was that it would feel like rushing it to try to get it in, you know, right under the wire. So better to wait. And so I'm trying to sort of maintain the urgency and keep it going so it can merge first thing in 122. So the next steps are I need to create 2 new repos under Kubernetes CSI, and I talked to you about that, Michelle. I'll be making a request. I'll be putting the data source validator controller in one repo and the volume populator library, including the hello populator sample, into another repo. We will hopefully aim to do like alpha releases out of those repos in the 121 timeframe. So that there's at least something out there for people to play with. And then the goal will be to turn around beta releases for 122 when everything else does eventually get merged.
Okay. I guess one question I have, regarding the repos, does it make sense to have them on individual repos or like one repo?
That's an interesting question. I mean, I think Saad expressed a bias for more modularity, you know, breaking things up more. I guess we could try to cram them into one repo, but they are pretty separate things that are not going to be mutually dependent. Well, let me think about this. The volume populator CRD kind of sort of matters for the populator library, but I still see them as kind of separate. Like one is it's a CRD and a controller that you need to install with your Kubernetes deployment, and the other one is a library that the author of an individual populator needs to import and compile in, and eventually maybe it will become a sidecar that you'll just run alongside your populator. And so like I don't see any reason to mix those up unnecessarily. Like one will depend on the other, but not vice versa.
Okay.
So
Then yeah, I guess then it makes sense to keep it separate. That's fine.
and given that I have to do the work to set up one new repo, doubling that work is not a big deal because the hard part is the learning, not the doing. So I'll just do it twice.
All right. Cool. Thank you. On the caps that you have, do you have reviewers for them? Is Saad or Tim reviewing them?
Yes, but I mean, well, the one cap merged and the second cap is a splitting up of the first cap. And Tim has agreed to review it. He just never got around to it in the last week, presumably because he's crazy busy. So now, as long as it happens before 122, we're okay.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll have to go bug Tim and Saad again at some point.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, I just want to make sure we don't delay too long and then we get into the same issue again.
Oh no,
next release.
We have definitely made a lot of progress, and now that Tim Hawken is sort of on board, you know, he can pull in other people that need to think about the. I guess for those that don't know, part of what we're doing is we're changing the behavior where if you specify an invalid data source, instead of it just ignoring that and giving you an empty volume, you will start to get errors, and that's a backwards compatibility breaking change that we think is okay because nobody could possibly be depending on that behavior. So, but we want to give people a chance to object and say, no, you know, I actually do depend on this behavior, so we can have a discussion about why. But
Yep.
That's why we made a separate cap.
All right. Sounds good to me. Thank you very much. All right. FS group, I think, is Amat here? Nope. We'll have to follow up on progress on that and expansion and then volume health.
Yeah, so that's merged. So I think remaining thing is we need to delete the agent part from the external repo. So we don't know, that's moved to Kubernetes. We no longer need that part. I think that's the main change we needed for this. And then E2E test, but E2E test, I guess it's not like required, but we'll need to add E2E test both for the controller and for the Kubernetes. For the Kubernetes, I think it's we already have some metrics related E2E test in our, is that under storage, the E2E folder, or is it?
Yes,
okay,
we do.
So we can actually add there then, right? Does it make sense to you just to add there?
Potentially, I guess the main challenge is that we typically, when we write E2E tests, we don't depend on events because events are unreliable and they can be dropped.
Okay.
So I think that's still going to be a challenge
validate.
for doing an E2E test. I think
You're
we might need to validate at a lower level, like in a unit test, perhaps.
Okay, just to see if it's called, basically.
Like I think we need a way to validate that it's called, but I think we can't actually validate that it resulted in an event.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So if that's the case, then probably should not really add in UTU test for now. Yeah, we'll just look at and see if there's any unit tests missing unit tests because we already have unit tests. Just want to see if we need to add additional ones, I guess. Okay, I'll think about that.
Yep. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Anything else here?
Nope.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so that's it for all of the features that we're
So I need
tracking.
to tell there's actually someone get assigned to work on unit test, so I need to ask the person actually not to write it because not sure he has not submitted anything anyway. So yeah, okay, let me just I'll just pin the person.
Sounds good. Was there something else that someone wanted to talk about?
I do edit on issues. Do we still have time? I want to ask something.
And I wanted to ask whether we can do an external provisioner patch release.
Yes, we can. It's just I want the CSI translation updates to go in as well because there's a lot of bug fixes there.
Okay, because I think in the comment you said that there were some things that shouldn't be included, but so those still need to be changed by someone. Do we know what that is and who's doing it?
Jawei, yes, Jawei is working on cherry picking the CSI translation library.
Okay, so my pull request with a changelog is then obsolete. Should I just close it or shall I update it tomorrow or when that is done? Well, if you guys are working on it, your time today, then perhaps you can finish it today and you don't need me. Both is fine with me.
Just leave it open for now and we'll see if we finish it today, we can take care of it.
Yeah, okay. That was all.
Sounds good.
I need to drop too. Bye.
Thanks.
Okay, so my
Shane,
issue, so it's actually I added that in the doc. Yeah, so this is the issue that I brought up some time ago in the 6:30 meeting. I actually want to ask Yang because this is the one that if you are deleting a PV or deleting a PVC, then the deletion policy may not be honored if you are deleting PV first, right? So this is that one. But we actually have some customers actually they run into some problems. Basically, the customers got charged because the PVs are leaked, the warnings are leaked. So Yang, I think you mentioned that there are some use cases that actually depend on this behavior. You're talking about this is like a migration use case? What type of use case is that?
No, definitely not migration, but it's just the Kubernetes behavior that it reacts to PVC deletion. It doesn't care about PV deletion. And it has been like this forever and people may be used to it.
Okay, so we don't really. Oh, I thought you mentioned that. I thought you said some migration use case for this. Okay, so we actually don't know that if there is actually really a use case. If that's the case, should we actually ask and see? Because we have this problem that we have to solve somehow. I was just wondering if it's something that we definitely have to preserve.
I guess
actually thinking.
I guess one question is like in those users, like why are the users actually deleting the PV objects?
So that I don't know, but we tell them, but then they're basically saying, well, the deletion policy says delete, then why you don't delete it? That's that question, right? Because it's just not obvious even for me. I didn't know that until you explained that this is actually the behavior depending on which one you try to delete first, basically. You try to delete PVC first, then we're fine. They were deleted, but if you try to delete PV first, then even if you delete PVC, then it's the deletion policy is not honored. So it's like kind of inconsistent behavior.
So I think, I think there's like a education documentation issue here, right? We need to more clearly document the expected sequence.
Yeah, but then I think for the problem is the customers really, just think this is not, even if I just explain this to, internal people, the, customer service people, they're like, what? They don't understand. This is really, really a weird behavior. So yeah, I actually thought there was I was trying to explain to them why this is needed. That's why I was trying to ask, like exactly why people want to use that. Why, if they want to keep those PVs, why don't they just, let's say, change the policy to retain something? So that's, yeah, this, okay, so so looks like we actually don't really know the exact case. So if, let's say, we have to preserve this behavior, I was actually thinking about some like future solution, possible solution that we can preserve this if user want to, but then we have an option actually to change this, to fix this for the other customers who actually want this to be, want the deletion policy to be honored. I was actually thinking about adding an option in the CSI driver so that you have this option to say, always honor deletion policy, something like that. Depending on that, of course, there's it's optional, right? So it's now by default. It's now if you don't change, and it's always the same.
Yeah.
And then
I mean, like if we really want to, try to make the API more intuitive, like we could consider deprecating the current behavior and then changing it after the deprecation period. I think the main thing is it would be at least a year because this behavior has been there since forever.
Yeah, I think that actually maybe better than adding a new option. I think if if there's no strong use case, some people.
But I think regardless, like we should update our documentation and make it more obvious that you don't need to actually manage PV objects. It's really, from a user perspective, you should only be dealing with PVC objects.
Yeah, but I think it's also like error prone. It's not, sometimes maybe it's not intentional. They always want to go delete PV first, but it could be sometimes it's just, you made a mistake. Oops, then you got the leaked volumes. Then you're like, what do I do now? Yeah. So Jan, do you have any comments on this?
That's why users don't have permissions to edit PVs and delete PVs.
Yeah, but I found actually, this is actually, I actually found that's what we thought, right? But then I found a lot of, or we call them users, but actually they are actually also admins that, this particular behavior, normally I understand the difference between a user and admin, but in this case, it's really, really confusing. I was actually thinking this has to be a bug. So if we don't really think there's any strong use case of keeping this, then maybe deprecation would be better, then we can fix it after a year or so, right? So if that's something that we want to consider, so should we, so should we go ahead and do that? So what is the next step for this? Can we just, how do we deprecate this? This would be just like some release node, or do we need to write up something, or what is the procedure?
Maybe, I don't know, do we need to have a new feature?
A new feature?
Yeah, at least the issue. I'm not sure about infinite cap.
Okay.
Because, well, it depends on the implementation, because even the implementation will be that easy, I think.
Okay. Okay, so because deprecating this behavior meaning basically then it will always be owner, right, under the policy. But do we want to, in that case, do we still, then we don't need that new flag thing that I was mentioning earlier, right? We just fix this in the controller. Is that what you mean, or you are thinking about something else? I was initially thinking.
I was thinking about the fixing in the controller.
Okay.
But behind the feature gate. And, well, fixing it won't be that easy as you think, probably, but it's possible, definitely. You need a finalizer.
So would that be, so the sequence would be what is that the same time you have introduced the alpha feature gate, or is that like you deprecate it for, I mean, how does that work? When we introduce the alpha.
When you introduce the alpha feature in the same release, you can deprecate the old behavior.
Okay.
And it takes 4 releases to graduate a feature.
Okay.
From alpha to beta and to GA, and that's the deprecation period.
Okay.
And in the end, we have GA feature, and you can remove the old behavior.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. So maybe I'll try to do that. Okay. I think that's actually makes sense. Yeah, it's better at least. Yeah, we can. Yeah, but yeah, also we should right now. We should probably document that. Okay. Okay. I think that makes sense. Okay, I will do that.
Cool. Thank you. Any other topics? All right, then we'll end for today. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.